naturally, love is a beautiful thing. When you are in love, it's beautiful. Especially when you are in love with somebody, you come to church and the person is not present in church. That day, doesn't matter how much the Spirit moves, you will not be happy in church. Oh, you know what I mean, don't you? So it's a beautiful thing. However, note this, that any marriage that has ever been to court for divorce started in love. Every relationship you can think about started in love. We don't marry our enemies, do we? So we all marry the people we love. So we start out every relationship in love. And it's a beautiful thing. So how come sometimes we end up hating one another? I brought some books, Marriage Means More. I am done with the sequel to that book, and the title is What Went Wrong? From the bliss to the blues of relationships. What went wrong? I want you to turn your Bibles to, oh, you're coming to eat, so you didn't bring Bibles, right? Okay, so this time I'll permit you to pick them on your phones as long as you don't pick other calls coming in. Romans chapter 12 and verse 9. Romans chapter 12, verse 9. It says, let love be without hypocrisy. Just that phrase. Let love be without hypocrisy. And another version will tell you, let love be genuine. And the King James will use a word like dissemination. In other words, let love be without hypocrisy. And you know what hypocrisy means? Pretending, pure pretense. Pure pretense. Pretending to be what you are not. And a hypocrite is a very dangerous person. He smiles at you and winks behind you. So, let love be without hypocrisy. Now, so let me share with you on the theme that I have chosen. Under this general theme of love is a beautiful thing, I also want to draw your attention to the fact that love is responsibility. You have a responsibility to maintain and sustain the beautiful thing you have as love. Interestingly, the word love has been misunderstood. It has been misapplied. It has been misappropriated. It has been mistaken. It has been misrepresented. And you can add all the mis words, and love has suffered them all. Sometimes we use the word generally. For example, how many of you love Chelsea? Oh, with all the broken hearts they are giving you. Yeah. People still love Chelsea. And I have a member in church who would come to church with Chelsea flag when they are going to play football. And we always tease him because the next week he doesn't carry the flag because of what happened. But there are people who love their football club. Do you know there are people who even love their pets, dogs, cats? There are people who love their cars. And yet we use the same love. Now that is the unfortunate thing about the English term. But let me do a little exegetical study on that word love. There are 5 basically 5 different words in the Greek language that are all translated love in some way. And the first word, normally, trust me, normally I don't like using the Greek from the pulpit, although I teach it at the university. I teach Greek, I teach Hebrew. That's my specialty. But I don't like. But for this program, permit me to be using some Greek words. Do I have your permission? Yeah. You don't need to understand them. You only need to trust me that they are good Greek words. The first word is epithumia. Epithumia. It's just one word, but epi is over, and the word like thumos has to do with will. Okay? So epithumia is something that has to do with excessive desire. Excessive desire. And an appropriate word for it wouldn't be love, it would be lust. It would be lust. Because epithumia is a strong, uncontrolled passion. And I call that selfish love. Selfish love. Because epithumia would want you to have at all costs. So that if the Cupid's arrow hits you, and I'm not too sure if that is even controlled by Cupid's arrow, it is purely controlled by the flesh and by what you see. And so somebody sees a beautiful woman, and I'm also told women also have that problem when they see a well-built man. They lust after them. And sometimes these wicked people would want to have what they have been passionate about at all costs. And so they even go into rape. That is epithumia, excessive passion. And I call that selfish love. I have it by all means. Unfortunately, it is described somewhere as love. And even in the Old Testament, actually, that is what Amnon had for his sister Tamar. And it is described as loving her. Meanwhile, he was actually lusting after her, because after he had had what he wanted, the hatred was more than the affection he had for her. And that is always what happens with epithumia. Once the rape is over, there is now hatred, animosity. And we don't want that. The next word is Eros. And that is the word from which we have erotic. The sexual desire, the attraction. Erotic, and it's Eros. It is also translated love. But I call it sensual love. Of course, we need that kind of love in marriage, because it's an attraction. Because without Eros, husband and wife would live as brother and sister. But you can be sure that your wife is not your mother's daughter. And God had to put this in marriage, Eros in marriage, so that the children would come. You understand what I mean? So, there is Eros, which is sensual love. But it is limited, and it must be limited to the marital bed. We need it for affection. We need it for pleasure in marriage. We need it for procreation in marriage. We need it for purity, so that we stick to our partners and not go beyond. And so that is Eros. It has its good point. Then there is the next word, storge. Storge is what I describe as social love. And that is the love you have for your football club. It's a form of a communal affinity. The sense of belonging. People would love their political party so much so that they will be willing to fight and be beaten for their political party. I mean, you love your church. So if somebody should stand somewhere and criticize your pastor, insult the church he's founded, you will be ready to remove your shirt. And sometimes it just happens. You love somebody, or you love a group, and somebody speaks against that group, and you are angry. That is storge. It is social love. You love your football club, so when the club loses a match, you lose appetite. And there have been extreme cases where people have even committed suicide because their teams lost. And somebody would think it's for lack of a better word, it's a stupid thing for a person to commit suicide because of this. But that should tell you the strength of that love, the power of that love. That will make people lose their appetite. That will make people fight and so on. That is storge. It's social love. Then, thank you. Then there is philia. That's the fourth type of love. Philia, which is sibling love. The word, Philadelphia, it's love for man. Adelphos is brother. Phileo is love. So Philadelphia is brotherly love. And, we have philanthropist. Philia is love, and anthropos is man. So philanthropist is somebody who loves humanity and wants to share. So we have, all these terms stemming out of philia. Philia is brotherly love, sibling love. And that is what should exist among us. And when Paul talks about treating the young women as sisters, the young men as brothers, and when he says, let brotherly love continue, it's like caring for one another in church, supporting one another in a group without any sensual attraction or without any strings attached. So, we love our mothers, we love our siblings, but then we love them without any sexual strings attached. And in the same way, we are to love one another. Love one another with that brotherliness, the sibling love. Then, of course, we get to the last one, which probably we all know, and is the agape. So, the epithumia is selfish love, eros is sensual love, storge is social love, agape, philia is sibling love, and then agape is sacrificial love. The King James Version tried to draw a distinction between other kinds of love and the agape, and so it used the word charity. So when you read 1 Corinthians chapter 3, it uses the word charity, charity, charity. That is supposed to be the extreme form, or the divine form, the sacrificial form, because you cannot have agape without giving. And that is charity. And where, we love without expecting anything. We love unconditionally. Where we love without taking note of people's offenses. The kind of love that covers multitude of sin. And that's the kind of love God has for us. And of course, he expects us to treat our partners in that same way. So these are the kinds of love. And of course, for you as couples, I recommend the three. Eros must be there, because after programs like this, it should be easier to kiss your wife. Or we don't mention things like that here. Also, for your people are too holy for me.
They are in order with you.
They are in order with me. Okay. So you need that Eros to be able to kiss your wife and to kiss your husband. Say, I hear you.
I hear you.
Good. Now I know you are alive with me.
Yeah, we hear you.
And then you also need the philia to be able to relate to them in a protective manner. You can have your own disagreements at home, but nobody touches your spouse. Nobody insults your spouse or looks down on your spouse. You should rise to their defense. And then, of course, the final one, you need agape. And agape is the sacrificial one. Somebody, husbands are supposed to love their wives, and wives are supposed to respect their husband. Which one comes first, and so on. It's a non-starter. If we understand agape, then you don't even consider the other part, because it is sacrificial. It is selfless. You don't wait to receive before you give. God loved us when we were yet sinners. He didn't wait for us to respond to his salvation call. He didn't wait for us to be reformed. He loved us as we were. And that is the agape love we are talking about. But you see, for relationship, we are mixing the three: the eros, the philia, the agape, and even to some extent the storge, because you need to love your family. Now, why do I say love must be love is a responsibility? It's a beautiful thing, but it doesn't just happen. Love is responsibility. We work at it. And I want to quickly give you 4 areas where we see love as being responsibility. It's a beautiful thing, and if we want to retain the beautiful thing, then we must see it as a responsibility. We make conscious effort to keep it going. The first thing is that love, and this beautiful thing, must be developed. Love must be developed. We need to stir it up. You don't allow things to go unnaturally. If you love somebody, make a conscious effort to keep that love going. Develop it. How do you develop love? You develop it through friendship. Be friends with your spouse, and it should be a conscious effort. I mean, you come to, you go out, somebody sends you a funny WhatsApp something, picture, video, whatever. Who comes to your mind first? Who should laugh with you? Your friend. And that friend should first be your spouse. Sometimes we are free, we freely share these things, and we hardly share that with our spouses. Where is our friendship? I mean, like I said earlier, we all marry our friends. But somewhere, somehow, when the nuptial arrangements are over, and so we just relax and expect things to go on naturally. Yes, it's a beautiful thing, but we need to direct its path, and we need to develop it through friendship. Make sure the friendship you had does not cease. And there are two things that really affect relationships and love, and these are familiarity. One is familiarity, and the other is complacency. We become too familiar with each other that there are certain basic courtesies that we do not even offer to one another. Right now, it's possible while you are seated, you might drop a pen, your handkerchief, anything can drop, and somebody picks it out for you. It is so easy for you to say thank you. But if your spouse does that, after all, get to church and turn around and shake hands with somebody, turn around and tell somebody you are looking good. Do you do that here? Yeah, turn around, smile to somebody, show some love to somebody. And we find it easier to do that to another person than our spouse. That friendship is waning. And so if we should turn around and welcome somebody, smile at somebody, and tell that person you are looking good, and you are looking sharp, God bless you, and so on, say any nice thing to somebody, the person who should come to mind first should be your spouse. So even if you are not sitting close, you would have to locate where he or she is and send that message to them. But you find it easy to turn around and smile and say nice things to other people, But we need to work at developing the friendship, the love, the affinity. Then we also develop the friendship or develop the love through forgiveness. Sometimes, you realize that the closer you are to a person, the easier it is to offend that person. And the closest person to you is your spouse. They know your weakness. They know your flaws. They know your challenging moments. And they are the ones you stay in the house with, go out with, come to church with. And with that closeness, it is so easy for you to be offended by them. If you should drive in town and a taxi driver crosses you and insults you, believe me, you will be angry, but that anger will not last 10 minutes because you don't know him. He's gone. You understand what I mean? You don't carry that bitterness in you and go to work or come to church. As for that man, I will never forgive him. Why? You're not seeing him again. Why shall I hope free? He's gone. But you see, your spouse lives with you. And so, it is easy to pick a fight in the morning, go out, come and continue with the fight in the evening. Because you live with them. And that is why forgiveness becomes crucial in every relationship, especially when you're talking about love. It was the wife of Billy Graham, I think Ruth Graham, who said, marriage is a union between two forgivers. Marriage is a union between two forgivers. You can't afford to take that out of marriage. It is crucial. And forgiving and letting go is a must if that love is to be developed. Then, of course, we'll not have enough time to talk about forgiveness. But then the next thing after forgiveness is forbearance. Of course, you forgive, you forget, though that's not easy. You cannot wipe out an offense from your memory. It's not a computer where you just go delete and it is permanently deleted even from wherever. But an offense becomes part of you, so you can easily remember. But forgiving and forgetting implies that you forgive, you let go, and you refuse to allow the effect of that offense to control your mind. To control your mind. Because, and then of course you refuse to live or relive the effect of the offense. And that is forgetting. You may remember the offense, but how do you react to that? Some people can even decide to make a joke out of that offense, and that is the highest form of forgetting. It happened, you were angry, but now as you think about it, you can even have fun with that offense. If you can do that, then you have forgotten, because you have forgotten the effect of that offense on you. And then forbearance. Forbearance has to do with, I hate to use the word tolerance, because you can tolerate things and still keep the anger. But to forbear, is that right? How many of you know that song? Okay, the older generation. And that is the essence of forbearance. And these things don't come easily. We must make conscious effort to develop them. So, and then of course you can also develop your love through fun. Having fun together. Going out. You don't need money to have fun. Go out, let's go buy some kelewele, and we chew the kelewele as we exercise down the street. You can even buy just oranges. Of course, you are in love. And so today, let's go sit at the beach. Let's go sit here and just chew some groundnuts. And you can fellowship. I refer to kelewele because it works for me. Don't tell my wife I told you this. And it doesn't cost much to have fun together. One thing I don't do is to play Ludo. And some couple do that nicely, but I can't. Because when they kick you, it's not fun. So you can play some of the board games, Scrabble, and so on. And it's fun if you know how to play or worry. That is what has sustained our mothers and so on. If you can handle being kicked by your wife or by your husband, and then after that can serve him food, then you can play the Ludo. But have fun. Have fun. So, number one, love must be developed. Number two, love must be demonstrated. Love must be demonstrated. It is part of the responsibility. Demonstrate it. Don't just keep it inside. If you love somebody, show some affection. And sometimes we hide under the excuse that, oh, we are Africans. Africans do. Who told you? Where are the men? Look, demonstrate your love by affection. So, if you like, try this. You come in from the room, you find your wife standing, maybe in the kitchen, and trying to fix a few things. You go near, and the first thing you do is Did you see what I did? Just hold and squeeze. And sometimes they say, "Oh, Jai, Mimpesa," it's a lie. They love it. Trust me, every woman wants to be touched from the behind. It's lovely. It sends some gogomi inside the body. But they want it to be done by the right person. And let me tell you something. If you don't do it, somebody else will do it for you. The trotro mate. You see, when they are helping women to climb the trotro, you watch them. And they can hold the back. But you see, at that time, the woman needs support. And so wherever they hold, the support is given. And they take advantage of that. But you are the accredited person to do that. And your wife needs it from you. So men, don't talk too much. While they are in the kitchen frying something, meat, fish, just go there, steal one. Let her hit you with the ladle. And it's part of fun, affection, holding hands. We come to church and you are shy to hold hands, and yet you have children. Did you get that connection? And so, let's demonstrate love by affection. Holding one another, touching, kissing. The problem with men is that when they start touching, they can't stop. The moment they start, they want it to end at another level. So for some women, the moment, that is why they say, "Oh no, stop it, stop," because they know when the man starts doing this, then he wants something else. But as men, can we do that for free? With no strings attached, and just let them feel good by our touch. Of course, sometimes you may be rewarded. Oh, you didn't get that one. Sometimes you may be rewarded because that touch might send some serious erotic shivers, and that can bring you some reward. Demonstrate your love through affection, through appreciation, saying thank you, admiring. These things, through appreciation, through admiration. Who should tell your wife she's beautiful? And you married, look, men marry or choose basically first by sight. By sight. Even if you were an anointed prophet like somebody I know in this house.
I'm the one.
Looks come in before we hear from God. And he's a living example. Okay. So, if you don't tell your wife she's beautiful, who should? The man goes out and gets a cute haircut. He comes home and the wife says nothing. So, appreciation, admiration. The man goes out, sees some fresh tomatoes, decides to buy. And men do these things not out of responsibility, but out of love. Because men demonstrate love. They hardly say it, verbalize it, but they do. So if a man fixes your bulb, a man buys gas, a man buys tomatoes for the house, he's doing that because he loves the wife. And women get that from me. My husband doesn't tell me I love, but then he did this. That's another way of expression. So if the man brings the tomatoes home, and your first question is, oh, where did you buy this? How much did you buy it? Oh, you dear boo. Oh, mama dear munima dear tokra. He will not, I mean, trust me, he will not do it again. A pastor friend of mine went to Egypt for a conference. And then on his way back, he decided to buy some special cloth for the wife. Of course, he doesn't go to Makola, so he didn't know what pertained there. Thought he had seen some nice cloth, so bought 2. And knew that the wife would be the one to unpack his things. And so placed the cloth on top. Got back home. The wife met her at the airport. They went home. And the wife decided to unpack. The first thing she saw were the pieces of cloth. 2 of them. So the man was ready for the remarks, at least to get some 3 points. And the first thing the wife was, oh, whose is this? And the man said, oh, they are yours. Still expecting some 3 points. And the woman was like, oh, okay. But this one, we have some better ones at Makola. And because you don't go to Makola, you don't even know the good. The man was so demoralized. You understand? When the fantasy says, because his expectation was somewhere there. 3 points. Well done. Appreciation. There was no time to talk much about that. But demonstrate the love by attention. Let me talk about attention. One of the best gifts you can give your wife is attention. And let me tell you, in fact, I've mentioned all this in my book. There is a difference between hearing and listening. We are here, and occasionally you hear vehicles passing, blowing their horn. Okay? We hear them. Because our ears are unstopped, we can hear noise and sounds around. But you see, now you are listening to me. The difference is that hearing is an involuntary thing. Once you have that ability, you can hear any sound. But listening is a deliberate thing. And I dare say that you hear with your ear, but you listen with your eyes. I know you are listening to me because you are looking at me. And you are nodding and laughing. You are giving me the feedback that tells me you are listening. And so you can't be looking at your iPad or watching the television, the football match. Go, oh, you talk. I'm listening. Go. You tell me I'm listening. Or be holding a newspaper and tell your wife to listen, to talk, and you are not. You are only hearing. Listening involves dropping other things, having eye contact, and giving feedback. Are you with me? And that is a good gift to give a spouse. Attention. Good. So you demonstrate love through affection, through appreciation, through admiration, and through attention. Number 3, and I do this quickly, love must also be defended. So love must be developed, Love must be demonstrated. Love must be defended. And I'm talking about making love a responsibility. It's a good thing, but it is also responsibility. You need to defend love. There are many things that will go against any relationship. The family, friends, and even foes. In Ghana and some other places in Africa, the mother of the husband sometimes calls the shots, and mostly calls the shot. And so you have wives having problems with their mothers-in-law. In some other places, it is the mothers of the wives who control the house. And so the men have two women to deal with. But in Africa, I just concluded a research. I'm actually publishing it on loving your in-laws. Loving your in-laws. And you see, the situation is such that I wish I could demonstrate it, but picture this in your mind. A man standing in the middle, his wife on his left, his mother on his right. He is hemmed between two women, both of whom love him. Oh, do you know our mothers love us? My mother passed away last year at age 92. And with all my beard, anytime I went to visit, she was like, "Have you eaten?" I said, "Mommy." And sometimes I go there with my wife, and the motherly instinct wants to find out if my son, and trust me, you never cease to be their son. Okay. So they love you, and your wife also loves you. They both want attention. They both want to control your decisions, your desires. So who wins? And it becomes a battle between the two women. One is suspicious of the other. Maybe she is coming in as a gold digger. The other is suspicious because there is a spiritual marriage somewhere. And these things do happen. So the women are perpetually at loggerheads. Because they both love one man, they both expect something, some form of attention, and so on. I know, my time is almost up. And so, you see, these things do happen. But when that happens, where do you stand as the man? So, I have worked on some B attitudes. I call them B attitude. The B attitudes of the man, the woman, and the mother. And each of them, I think I came up with about 10 B attitudes. You, the man, will have to take a certain stance because you are related to your mother by default, by chance, but you are related to your wife by design, by choice. You didn't choose your mother, but you chose your wife. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. And so you should know who to defend. I leave that with you. Your parents visit, and they come to Kolebu to attend something, and then you give them a place in the house, and before you realize they are spending 1 week, 2 weeks, you expected them to be around for only 2 days. She's comfortable, and meanwhile you have sacrificed, probably with one room. And one friend of mine had that experience, and he said his biggest challenge when the mother-in-law visited, because they had only one room, He said his biggest challenge was when he wanted to fart. How can you fart when your mother-in-law is in the same room with you? You could easily do that with your wife alone, you know. And assembly, you know. And of course, you will have to defend your love against the family intrusion. Friends, boys, girls. Once you marry, leave them alone. Don't allow them to dictate to you. Are you the only one who is married? Are you the only one who is in love? Are you the only one who knows how to marry? And so on. Defend your love against your family, against your friends. And finally, let me say this. Love must be dignified. You don't only develop it, demonstrate it, defend it. It is your duty to dignify the love. How do you dignify the love? Through faithfulness. Through faithfulness. You can't be sharing love with other people. I know for men, mostly sex is an adventure. Sex is an adventure for men, and not necessarily an act of love. And so a man can have sex with somebody without necessarily loving that person. But you see, when you do that, you are degrading your love, because somebody else sees sex as an act of love. And so anytime they commit to you, they know this is love. And then you go about sharing that same experience with somebody else, and you are degrading the love. And show some respect to your spouse in public, even. Oh, where is your wife? Oh, ujam on no jinahon. Ujafo. Osimesi. And then when you ask the woman to, instead of maybe using the hand to point, they use the lower lip. Now you are immediately lowering, you are allowing other people to look down on the relationship. If anybody should respect your spouse, you should be number one. And once you do that, you people cannot place a wedge. And where I am, you can't talk against my wife. And I let people know it. Once you speak against her, you speak against. If you respect me, you respect her. And I will do that by openly showing respect. We have our own fights, she will tell you. I've been married for 36 years. We have our own fights. But never would we carry our fight to the public. And so people think, oh, you people are lovely, you don't fight. I said, come to the house and see. Very troublesome I can be. But we dignify the love. So you have a responsibility in keeping this love, which is a beautiful thing. Develop it through friendship, through forgiveness, through forbearance, through fun, and so on. Then you demonstrate that love by showing affection, by showing appreciation, by showing admiration, by giving attention. And then you defend the love against people who would want to disturb it. And the family is the number one culprit. Friends. Oh, don't mind your wife. Why do you have to say, share this with your wife before? This is man to man. No. Defend your love. And dignify your love. God bless you.
Oh, come on, you can do better.